strong in faith.
Faith can move mountains.
Radio Maria
91.3 FM.
The voice of truth.
Good morning, and thank you for tuning into Radio Maria 91.3 FM. It is now time for Side by Side, where we discuss issues relating to conflict, peace, and security. I am Kene Obiezu. Chiedu Ude is also here, as well as Reverend Father Robert Achiaga. Together we will be on the Side by Side today. Good morning, Chiedu.
Good morning, Kene. Good morning, listeners.
Good morning, Father Robert.
Good morning, Kene, Chiedu. Good morning. Long time.
It's been a while, really. A couple of weeks. We are to be joined by two very special guests on the program for today. But right now in the studio, we have Imam Mustapha Agbarere. He is a Muslim cleric and a lawyer. Good morning, Imam Mustapha.
Good morning, and may the peace of God dwell and abide by you all.
And also with you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining
Thank you for
us.
having me.
Later on in the program, we would also be joined by AIG Wilson Inalegwu, retired. He is a security consultant and former commissioner of police for the FCT. The guest we have on the program today would help us unpack the topic of today's show, which is proposed nationwide ban on Okada. But first, we shall take a look at some side stories. Chiedu, over to you, please.
Yeah, thank you, Kene. Listeners, once more, I greet you all. Kene and dear listeners, we followed a good number of side stories, which I am sure our listeners would like to know. And here are some of them. Insecurity. Yoruba traditionalists declare readiness to use spiritual powers. This is coming from Daily Post Saturday. Plateau's Wase communities live in fear over recurring bandits attacks, from the Daily Trust. Insecurity. I have kept service chiefs on their toes, says Buhari. This also comes from the Daily Trust. Lassa fever, cholera, kill 240. Experts express worry. This is from the Punch newspaper. Vote buying. INEC tasked National Assembly on speedy passage of Electoral Offences Commission Bill. This is from the Sun newspaper. How inflation, insecurity may ruin APC's, that is, the All Progressive Congress fortunes in 2023 general election. This is from the Guardian newspaper. National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, naps drug dealers in Lagos, Abuja, and Enugu, from the Punch. Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, meets Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASU, and others. They meet with leaders of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and others to put finishing touches to the planned solidarity rally the Congress is organizing in support of the ongoing strike by the university lecturers. The solidarity rally is scheduled for tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday in all state capitals and the FCT. And some affiliates of the Congress have signified intentions to be part of it. Armed men invade Taraba communities. Women and children missing. This is from the Punch newspaper. More details from this story. Residents of Manya and Sabongida, Basimbe communities in Takum, local government area of Taraba State, say scores of people are missing and hundreds have fled across River Donga to Nivo in Donga local government area after suspected herdsmen attacked them. The member representing Takum 1 state constituency in the State House of Assembly, Garuba Ajia, spoke about the attack. He is quoted as saying, "Yes, they attacked and burned houses in Manya and my village, Sabongida, Kwasimbe, but no life was lost. I was told they have proceeded to Kwesati in the neighboring Usa local government area. At present, 21 villages in my constituency have been sacked by the attackers, who have now occupied the communities and are feeding on people's farms. They have converted some of the houses that were not burnt to their homes, where they are staying and committing these atrocities. I want to call on the government to provide immediate relief to the IDPs, to address the humanitarian situation in areas under attack, and take steps to end the killings. Meanwhile, the State Police Command reportedly said nobody is missing and that personnel have been deployed to maintain law and order in the area. Woman stabs husband to death in Adamawa. This is from the Sun newspapers. We must destroy this country, terrorists who fled Kuje prison boast. This comes from Daily Trust newspaper Sunday. I didn't solicit this title, says bandit turband in Zamfara. This is from the Daily Trust. Police repel gunman attack on station in Ondo as hoodlums kill one officer. This is coming from the Nigerian Tribune. Tension in INEC. Infighting threaten 2023 elections. This comes from the Vanguard newspapers. Aggrieved relatives of train passengers barricade Transportation Ministry, deny staff entry. This is breaking news today, courtesy of Daily Trust. Kene?
Thank you so much, Chiedu, for those news stories. Okay, this is to inform our listeners that we have now been joined by retired AIG Wilson Inalegwu. He is a security consultant and former commissioner of police of the Federal Capital Territory. So our cast of guests on today's show is finally complete. You are welcome, retired AIG.
Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to.
So a lot of things going on in the country at the moment. And we quickly delve into the discussion on the news stories. We begin from the third to the last news story that was taken, but certainly not the least, which is woman stabs husband to death in Adamawa, from the Sun newspaper. Okay, this is a case of domestic violence, and it is a woman who is at the center of it all. The Adamawa Police Command has arrested Caroline Baruka, a 20-year-old housewife, for stabbing her late husband, Baruka Dauda, to death. It happened in Angwantamia in Madagali local government area of the state. Preliminary reports from the police indicate that the deceased had returned home drunk and fell on their 1-year-old baby who was in bed. Angered by his drunkenness, habitual late nights, and failure to provide basic necessities as a husband, the suspect and the deceased engaged themselves in a fight, which resulted to her stabbing the husband. Domestic violence is fast becoming a serious threat to life. Imam Agbarere, I will begin from you on this news story. We have a situation where another woman has stabbed her husband to death in Adamawa State.
Yes.
I think the other time it was in Ekiti. Okay. The other time it was in Ekiti where a woman burnt her husband to death.
Yes.
So these cases of domestic violence, they keep coming up every now and then. And as much as it is a crime, as much as what has happened in Adamawa is a crime, it also has questions of law springing from it. And you're a lawyer. Can you tell us what you know about domestic violence and what the law actually provides about domestic violence, especially what is being done by the law to curb domestic violence in the country?
Thank you. Domestic violence, just like the name rings, and we understand that violence is violence. Violence is anything that you do against the physical body of a person. It may also be against the psychological or mental body of a person, your position, the person against you, whom you do that thing. That is violence. Now, that thing does not go well with the person in terms of the reactionary effects from the physical or from the mental. You understand me? If you beat a person and the body reacts, that is a violence. If you also harm a person mentally and it reacts to that thing, that is another violence. That is, in the case of domestication, something that is now within the home. The other one is outside violence. Outside violence is against another person you don't know. But when it is within a home, matrimonial home, for instance, it doesn't mean only that it has to be within the husband and wife. It may also be against the children. You might beat your children to a point that the system of that child will break down. That is a violence. So against your spouse, your opposite person in the house, I'm talking of your wife or your husband, it becomes domesticated as well. That is a crime within the house. Now the law is this, very simple. When it is domestic violence, like beating, like harassing, like inflicting injuries on your colleague in the house, is a violence against that person, and you may be cited for it in the law court. But killing goes into another level. That one has become a murder, a case of murder. It now becomes the issue of establishing the menstrual and the actus reus in the court of law. You can say, okay, maybe he was provoked, so to say, I'm sorry. At that point in time, you can now establish how you were provoked to the point of killing the person. So this case of the woman that burned or that stabbed the husband to death is a case of murder. It has gone beyond the domestic violence that we know. If you get it clear, in the case of this, you will be prosecuted for complete murder. And if you have any defense of provocation, then you establish whether the husband himself or self-defense, for instance, whether the husband and you are engaging yourselves in a fisticuff to a point that I wanted to kill you, you now came and stabbed the husband, then which will require the proof of the witnesses to it. But without that, you know the case of the woman now in Kuje that happened last year, or about 2 years ago. The judge said there that this is not a case of domestic violence. This is an intended murder, and you have murdered your husband because they could not provide the evidence that would justify any act of provocation or self-defense.
Okay,
that is it.
Okay, fortuitously for us, on the program for today, you are also a cleric, and we know that before it actually gets to murder,
Yes.
these things build up in homes.
Yes.
Like from what we have here, she was angered by his drunkenness, habitual late nights, and failure to provide basic necessities as a husband. Our experience in Nigeria is that even before people approach law enforcement agencies, in many cases they turn to their clerics. So when they come and complaints like this are laid, what do you do to intervene? Basically, what advice do you give them?
Yes.
How far do you go to?
As a Muslim cleric, we have the legislation in the Al-Quran Al-Karim, that is the book of Islam, where you can make references to on how to resolve the domestic, misunderstanding between the spouses. You can go to like Surah An-Nisa, Quran 3, where Allah talks and give us how we're going to manage such crises. Call them fa'izuhunna. That is, call them and do sermons to them. Let them know the principle of the marriage. The principle of the marriage is that the two people must come together, male and female, and have what we call love first. Love must come first. If you don't allow love to live with you, you cannot live together. So we have to sermonize to them and say, what is the problem? Like you just said, the husband maybe habitual drunkenness or coming back into the house late in the night or things like that. We let him know that you don't drink. Islam does not permit of that. It's not allow of that. We also try to psych him up to see what is your problem that makes you to be going to be drinking. You get it, coming back home, is your wife not taking? So what we do is counseling and guidance. We do that in the mosque. There is a special place for that. Faizu Unna. We tell the husband as that he has the responsibility of also be sermonizing to the wife. It's a responsibility of God. After that, Fajru Unna fil Madadi, when Allah was talking about the woman, if woman and the husband and the man, if they are not getting it right, the man may also have a kind of a seclusion, distancing. Yeah, I'm talking about the stages. Then the last one, which Allah now says that in khiftum shikoko bainahuma, when you fear that the thing is going gaga, is going out of way, for perhaps to akama min ali or akama min ahliya, call a representative from the family of the wife and a representative from the family of the husband. In yurida istilahan, if the two representatives want to reconcile them, if they have the faith of reconciling them, Allah will prevail and will make that family to stand unshaken. So what I'm saying in essence is that the mechanism of reconciliation is what we adopt in the mosque when we see that a family home is breaking.
It's good to hear that actually. Retired AIG Wilson Inalegwu, you were once a commissioner of police in the FCT. How much does the police do about domestic violence? I mean, we've heard in the past that when some of the cases have been brought to the attention of the police, the complainants were turned away and asked to go and settle family matters. So how much does the police do? Because it appears that the institution of marriage all over the country is under considerable strain, and a lot of these things keep coming up. How much does the police do as a law enforcement agency?
Thank you very much. What I want to say, the police take the issue of domestic violence seriously. As a matter of fact, there is a unit, is called the Juvenile Welfare Unit or the Family Support Unit. And I think there was support from the DFID, the UK Department for International Development, and there were pilot programs in Enugu. I remember when I was in the FCT, we had the unit in Garki Police Station that deals with domestic violence, sexual abuse, and harassment. And it's warehoused a little bit off the station. And it's built in such a way that you could maintain confidentiality when you are dealing with such matters. So the police will not turn you back. That may have been in the ancient days, not this time. Those reports are taken seriously. I have had calls to deal with a lot of domestic violent cases, emotional abuse among for officers and even the members of the general public coming to you. Might be somebody travels, my husband is in worry, he has not been sending money, and we have also intervened. And so the police does not take such lightly. And in addition to what my colleague said, you see, the issue of family must be taken very seriously, because the family is a microcosm of the larger society. The country is made up of families. Therefore, whether the police or any security agency for that matter, or our spiritual fathers, the churches and the mosque, must take the issue of family seriously, because when you have a problem snowballing into such a magnitude of violence that will result to the loss of life, didn't start that day. It's a build-up thing. So every member of the society has a responsibility to families, and in exercising that responsibility, you take the position of counseling, and if you're in position of authority, you do the right thing. That when these complaints are brought, you don't ask them go settle. You must listen to them, and you look at the fundamental issue that is causing that problem. Because if you don't do that, you have had instances where some women will just poison the children and themselves, and they all die or the husband shooting. So I think every responsible member of the society has that unique responsibility to come in. Of course, you don't go interfering in people's domestic affairs, but if you're in a position of authority and it has been brought to you, either a police officer at the counter or the DPO or the commissioner of police, you must intervene. And if you think violence is anticipated, the mere fact that you intervened and you make the man to both of them to sign a document to show that they will be of good conduct, and give your numbers to them in case the things begin to flare up, they can call and you send quick help. I think that is very, very critical. So the police take the issue of domestic violence seriously. Thank you.
I was going to add that many people in homes are undergoing domestic violence, whether the physical violence or the emotional violence, the psychological violence, and very little is being done about it. Sometimes when they discuss with in-laws or even their parents, you hear something like, we went through the same thing. It's a normal thing. Endure, endure, endure. And then sometimes people are ashamed of talking about these things. But as all of you have observed, when you don't address these things properly to resolve them, they become pent up emotions. They pile up, such that in the future, a small trigger will make you react in a way that will result in all kinds of unforeseen situations, So I would like to say that all those who are suffering domestic violence, whether it is the woman, the wife, who is suffering it at the hands of the husband, or in some cases, and this is real, and maybe all the men should also take this seriously, sometimes it is the man, the husband, who suffers domestic abuse at the hands of the wife. In other cases, it is the children at the hands of the parents or some elderly persons in their home. If you're undergoing that kind of thing, you have your religious leaders mention to them. At a certain level, discuss with your in-laws, discuss with your siblings, discuss with your family, and at a certain level, mention to the police yourself. You see, if you don't do that, if you don't speak up, one day you may end up doing something you did not intend to do. So speaking up is very, very important, but make sure to speak to the right person.
Yeah, thank you, Father. I think we Nigerians are a lot more, a lot wiser, or with the discussion that have gone into this, people should be better prepared to manage situations like this, so that to avoid them getting into violence and loss of life avoidable for that matter. The next story, we have here that we intend to discuss: we must destroy this country. Terrorists who fled to Kuje prison boast. This is from the Daily Trust. We must destroy this country. It's just like saying, I must destroy my family. Must destroy this country. Now let's look at the details of this story. The Islamic State in West Africa, ISWAP, invaded Kuje prison in Abuja on July 5 and freed over 800 inmates, including many high-profile terrorists in detention. Some arrests have been made in different parts of the country, but most of the terrorists are still at large. In a disturbing video trending currently, the twin abductors just released, a terrorist who said he escaped from Kuje prison was seen clad in military outfit and draped in machine gun bullet chain. In the video, the terrorist vowed to abduct the president himself, Governor Nasir El-Rufai of Kaduna State, and he said that they must destroy Nigeria. Pointing at the victims on the AK-9 train attack, still in captivity, who are being mistreated in the video, he said, "These are not the only people we hope to bring here. You should know that you," talking about Buhari, and the one they call El-Rufai, quote, "and your senators and the vice president himself, your state legislators and even councillors will come before us. So get ready," rather telling them to get ready because nobody can fight God. We wonder which God we wonder which God they are talking of here. Now, the senior special assistant to the president reacting to this. The senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Malam Garoba Shehu, put out a reaction in a statement titled "Latest Version of Terror Propaganda and Military Readiness." It reads, and I quote, "Terrorist activity using propaganda and the use of violence to force governments to accept or submit to political demands is not new all over the world. The country's security and defense forces are not clueless or helpless. They have their plans and ways of doing things which they will not display in the media." The quote continues, I quote again, "The dilemmas in dealing with the specific case of trained terrorists are manifold. Punitive action like the popular call for carpet bombing of the known locations may assuage the desire of an angry public for revenge. But what about the hostages?" he said. "They have committed no offense. All they did was to board a train." It suffices to say that the security forces are not relenting. They are acutely aware of their duties, responsibilities, and what the nation expects of them. Whenever they embark upon those actions, they expect that the public should provide them with the needed support. Terrorism, he continued, is a global scourge that must be fought by all actors: the military, the civilian government, the civilian population, and the communication service providers. This is the only way safe havens of terrorists are eliminated in every part of the world. And to help the nation against ongoing situation, the media must increase their support for the fight against the exploitation of the internet and the social media for terrorist purpose. End of quote. Continuing on this story, meanwhile, another Daily Trust angle to that story reads, "Kaduna train, how ransom blockade triggered hostage beating video." The attack on the AK-9 train 4 months ago led to the killing of about 9 passengers and the abduction of 60 people. At least 20 of the victims have been released in batches after they each paid a ransom of no less than 100 million naira. Over 40 of the victims still remain in captivity as we speak. It was learned that the renewed negotiation to release another batch of the victims was truncated after security officials turned away ransom bearers from delivering the agreed amount. This development was said to have angered the terrorists who beat up the victims in the new 11-minute video released late on Saturday and threatened to kill them. AIG Inalegwu, I know security forces and then those who actually manage or harness intelligence deal with the technical and operational aspect, but messaging is critical in actually dealing with situations like this. In other climes, you find out that the government or the state always take the lead in messaging, but I may be wrong, but it appears since Nigeria has become plagued with incessant terrorist attacks, abductions, kidnappings, we find ourselves rather reacting to what they do and what their demands are. And that shouldn't really be.
Thank you so much. I was watching that video is very saddening to see people being humiliated, being flogged like children. You don't really flog children, even animals. You don't treat people like that. Well, that is the way of the terrorists, to send maximum fear in the mind of the public, people of sentiments, and get people on their side. But I don't think any rational person will be on the side. Of course, you must have a media strategy in dealing with situations like this. I think that was happening when we had joint briefings by the spokespersons of the various security agencies. I've not seen that happening now. You also have the police, the military, and all that. I think the National Orientation Agency can do better. We've got to be ahead of these individuals so that they don't communicate. They're evil and they shouldn't be tolerated. But commenting on terrorism and all that, every Nigerian must see this as his battle. We must give every support to government. We must not allow the terrorists have an upper hand. They can't destroy Nigeria. Nigerians are resilient. But perhaps we need to craft a message. Our messaging strategy may have to be rigid, if I may say that. And the National Orientation Agency, the Information Ministry, should look at what happens in other climes and take a cue. But all I want to say, terrorists will always be terrorists. But Nigerians must not allow them, their mind, to be swayed by the antics of these devilish, vicious criminals. So all I want to say is, every Nigerian must see the battle against terrorism, their battle. And how do you see it as your battle? You see it as a battle from your vigilance, observation, and willingness to do something. These people take drugs to treat their captives. They take food to treat their captives. We can't say we don't know where they are. Why have they made their place so impregnable? Why is it so difficult for anybody to get to them? And it's about the security agencies engaging in the change process that leads to capacity building, that leads to professionalism. And so when you find that this is a new crime, but the military and the police cooperating and supported by the public, by building capacity, by providing the necessary tools, not so much the tools, but a kind of training that look, we're dealing with rescue. Colombia has faced this kind of situation. Israel, not in our scale, but they have training in the Americas as we buy to canopied aircraft and helicopter. We've got to expand the training and to improve the professional skills of our personnel, not only in the act of negotiation, but also in combat. That when people are held in such held hostage, yes, we must avoid collateral damage, killing innocent people, but we've got to skill our training in such a way that we're able to rescue. And so let it not be that just keep people 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. I think there should be a kind of compilation of lessons learned. And then we see how do we approach this without causing collateral damage. So it's about a kind of change process in the various security agencies that will enhance capacity and professionalism. And part of that would be to get the public to back you. But there is just nothing you can do. The miracle that the security agencies have is the public backing them, telling them certain things, telling them certain weaknesses. I think somebody from your report, one of the escapees from Kuje prison was seen in military camouflage. It means everywhere you can penetrate, even the prisons, we can get people to be those among them. We've got to begin to sieve, and know those we can get to our side. And look at science. Was COVID. They have to use the virus,
attenuated one,
and then to manipulate it in the laboratory,
exactly,
and then to become vaccine.
Sequencing.
So we've got to get some of them to our side and sequence them, and then manipulate, if I may use that word, to become our foot soldiers. Because if we don't have a foothold among them, let me tell you, not all of them believe in the ideology. Even though you think you could get one or two there and you just penetrate them. And it should take whatever we can. Just let's look at this scientifically and socially. I believe not all of them. Don't forget, some of them were kidnapped themselves. They were forced to carry guns. Some of them were armed robbers and other things. So in dealing with this, we've got to look at this thing critically and begin to do it like the scientists get the same organism causing the sickness, manipulating it in the lab to become a cure. So I think we can do that. But more importantly, it's about partnership in the public. And in this partnership, nobody can be your friend if he perceives that you're unfriendly to him. That is why I talked about the dimension of professionalism. That means when you are at the checkpoint, look out for the criminals, not somebody coming from school with his children at the back, and you know this guy has not done anything, let the person pass. And then, but when you see some people looking somehow, you put them aside and begin to question them. When the public, they are driving past, they say, those people, they look like criminals. They think you are doing well. And when they make a report to you, when they give you information confidentially, treat it with seriousness, because they will go back and say, will you collect money and let the individual go? Will you compromise? So that is what I meant by professionalism. And then you begin to reinforce the structure by rebuilding, by providing the necessaries. You give them, support them scientifically by ICT, communication, other gadgets that are required to make them successful, by providing them with things that will present them properly before the public. So in this fight, it is not only a fight. I always say it when I have the opportunity. It's not only a fight of gun and rifles and bullets.
Battle of the mind.
It is about the mind. It is about galvanizing, mobilizing the public to say, look, in our community we are going to have this. Yes, and then our borders. We've got to be sure who comes across our borders, who lives in the community. Have we seen that sect before? Have we seen these people who only bring their sand? Our sand is too dirty for them to put their head white print. It is already a strange ideology, and we've got to interrogate this. And when we begin to we begin to prevent, and when we do this, we will get hold of it. You see, you've got to look at that is what I think in New York, one of the foremost commissioners of police in New York talk about the broken window principle. That as the window has a decent, you quickly fix it. So we've got to, we must, security agencies must find a way that, look, tell the public, and let the public understand. These people say they want to destroy our country. Of course they can't. But it calls for consciousness and seriousness, and not to say, they can't destroy. No, if they can't destroy, what are you doing about it? What are you doing about it? There is just, the security agencies can do as much as they get your support. Because if you don't prevent and they come to a neighborhood and they are shooting, there could be stray bullet. So it's better they don't even fire any rifle. And we can do that wherever they are, in that forest, when they are planning. And I always say, these people have a trail. If you follow that trail, I am sure you can render them
Important. Powerless enough.
Chiedu, let me just speak to some strategic concerns that arise from this video. So when I saw the video and had a discussion with a friend, he mentioned that to his mind, the terrorists released this video in the hope that they might stir up public outrage against government, and the government will be put under pressure to bring the monies that they are demanding as ransom for the release of these people. And I laughed at that because, you see, terrorists are not stupid. I do not believe that the strategy is to get elicit public outrage against government. What do I believe is happening in that video? Or let me begin by asking, why don't I believe that that's the end game? Yeah, here is the reason. One of those who were released from captivity earlier happened to be one of the leaders of UBEB in the FCT, and he spoke to media. He said the treatment that human beings were receiving in that place, he would never even pray for his enemy to receive that kind of treatment. So we know that while under captivity, these people have not been treated well. We also received news of one of the pregnant women who had to give birth under captivity. This is known to government. We also know that there is a liaison between government and the terrorists who kidnapped these people from the train, and that is the aid to Sheikh Gumi. You know, he speaks to the media and he briefs government. So what has been happening to these people has always been inhumane, and that's known. So why would they decide to select just an aspect of that and release to the public? The public knows that the people are suffering. Some people have been released, they have told their stories. I believe the end game here is that in that video, there is a message for the government. And the government will decode the message and will respond appropriately. So what do I say? Because, you know, in the video, certain people are mentioned specifically, and certain actions are touted. How can you arrest the governor of kidnap? How? He's well protected. How are you ever going to be able to kidnap the president of Nigeria? He's very well protected. But I think the message would be to correlate these figures with those who are under captivity and ask, what is the message for them as leaders of the country? Maybe they are doing something particularly that the terrorists do not like, and they are sending a message to them. But whatever it is, the public must always realize that nobody likes a terrorist. And nobody is going to fight somebody because of a terrorist. Those actions you see in that video are condemnable. Under no circumstance should another citizen or whoever hold citizens and treat them that way. So the government will decode the message and will respond appropriately. And you could look at those feelers in the response of Garba Shehu, that they are working out certain things to get these people freed. We can only pray and hope that whatever it is they are doing is enough, and they are actually doing something genuine. That's my take.
Just to add add what Father has said. As a police officer that I was,
and still is.
I deal on crime
Yeah.
the way I see it. Why do I say that? I don't want my mind to be swayed by any theory. I just deal with crime that I see. And also, when a person makes a threat, by training, you don't take any threat lightly. You want to kidnap a governor, Nasir El-Rufai, or the president. Every threat must be taken seriously. Somebody used a homemade gun to kill Shinzo Abe, the former prime minister of Japan, former prime minister of Japan. Somebody, a 40-something-year-old individual killed the former prime minister. Every threat against an individual, against person in government, or any person. So, if I were still serving, I would take the threat around president very seriously.
That's actually the point I'm making.
Yes,
that there is a message being sent to them particularly.
So when they make that threat, you've got to take it seriously. Whatever message they are selling, they are enemy of the society.
Yes.
Anybody who keeps another person, even 1 minute without any against the person's will, is an enemy of the society. And the message I always pass whenever I come here is the security agencies cannot do it alone. We must support them. And then hold government accountable where we need to hold them accountable. But there are many things they have said, like the position I always take. I never go to try to find out. All I know is that this man, you thief motor, I catch you. I arrest you, prosecute you. You go and tell the court why. I don't know. I'm not interested. I'm interested in your criminal intent, like Barrister said. I'm interested in your mens rea. But I see the actus reus and the mens rea. I put them together, and if I'm able to link you with a crime, I prosecute you. Thank you.
And it would also appear that they have some capacity, because we are in a country where everything has become possible. When they broke into the ND in Kaduna, we were all roundly alarmed. So we go to the next news.
No, let me also say something about this. Honestly, it's worrying, very worrying, what we are seeing in the country now. I can't agree less with the retired AIG, but I'm saying this for the umpteenth time. The government needs to sit up. It's becoming the same story at every time. They will say, we have the capacity. What is the capacity of the government? The government has the capacity to nip this thing into the bud. They keep changing the service chiefs, they keep changing the head of the organizations of the security agencies, but we have not achieved anything. I'm saying it's loud and clear that the chapter 2 of the Constitution places a premium, an obligation on the government to ensure safety of life and the property of the citizens of this country. But they have done less. They need to rejig the security architecture. What we are doing has not yielded any results so far. In fact, this information sharing, when you share information, these agencies don't do anything. You give them information, they will tell you, do we have any incentive to even go and fight these people? And that is why these guys are having a free environment within which to thrive their business.
Another angle, something, an aspect of this,
yes,
which has deep meaning. We must destroy this country. I remember in the 90s,
yes,
those heated up days, okay? There was this, it began to make round that nobody can willfully destroy what belongs to him. Nobody can willfully destroy what belongs to him, beginning with your family. Nobody who is rational enough destroy. So, and while AIG Inalegwu was discussing this topic, talk about looking at our borders, how porous they are. Also, how far have we gone to understand the majority of these people who threaten to destroy Nigeria, are they really Nigerians? Imam,
Yes.
and then Father is also here. I mean, we talk about, when it's on a flock, he said, the shepherd, you protect what belongs to you. And of course, the sheep also hears the voice of the shepherd.
Yes.
So, how far have we gone to actually determine that those who threaten to destroy Nigeria, they are really Nigerians? Because real Nigerians can hardly ever say that I will destroy Nigeria.
Well, simple.
Okay.
You can't do anything against your own home without giving another person who is coming to destroy your home opportunity. Nigerians themselves allow these people to come. They infiltrate us because they have insiders among us who are giving them opportunities, who are giving them chances and informations. Just like what the AIG said, people should share information with the agencies. These people too have informants among us. I want to believe they are collaborating with Nigerians. It's a kind of collaboration. Foreigners are there. They believe this thing thrives in Nigeria. Cases of kidnapping. When you kidnap a person, you send message out either to the government or to the family of that person. Those people will be tempted to come and pay. So when it's thriving, and in their country, it's not because they don't have money. They will say, oh, Nigerian, there is a lot of money there. Politicians are out there who are just making money easily. Businesses are doing fine in Nigeria. So let's go. The Nigerians are also milking. In fact, I cannot insulate security men. I can't insulate them. It's a collaboration of a lot of people. The religious people will also be there. We cannot also say we're not part of it. It's a kind of general thing. They do it together. It's transactional. So, and destroying Nigeria is great than that. You just said it that is a propaganda just to stir, what do you call it, fear. To make people be on their feet, to make government also be on their feet. See the Kaduna train. What type of weapon these people use? Where did they get this weapon? They don't use light weapon to stop train. That the magnitude of that thing, and they stop it. They destroyed it. They have free time to operate within it. They carry people within Nigeria. Where did they take those people to?
Thank you so much.
Don't we have a way of getting that type of so this is my.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Imam Mustapha, for your views. We will now take a short break, and when we come back, we will begin our discussion on the topic of the day. Please do stay with us. Again, our guests are AIG Wilson Inalegwu, retired, and Imam Mustapha Agbarere. So let's begin with the link between Okada and crime. Mr. Inalegwu, as a retired AIG of police, I can say that you know a lot about these things, and quickly tell us the point between Okada and crime. What is the relationship, and what is the nature of criminality involving Okada, and how bad is it really? Because going back to the meeting of the National Security Council where the ban was proposed, after the meeting, the Attorney General of the Federation said that a lot of the terrorists use Okada for mining activities, for transportation, and that the National Security Council mulled over the fact that banning the use of Okada would actually stop, inhibit the terrorists to an extent. So please, how bad is it really?
First of all, I don't think the government is trying to criminalize poverty by proposing or planning to ban the operations of Okada. Number one, are these bikes registered? If there is a crime, can you trace anyone? Are they registered? Two, who are the riders? Who are the riders? Do you know them? Three, is there any crime as since this banditry started that the motorcycle Okada has not been associated? Either they say there are about 100 riding to a community. How many people have been linked because their vehicle was jammed? One reckless Okada man just slammed into and then falls and injured, gets injured. Then they lynch the person driving. He may not have committed anything. They take loss to them. You cannot count the number of people that have been amputated as a result of Okada accident. That is, let me just stop it. Now, the link. If you have been in the FCT since 2007, in 2007 the strict enforcement of the ban of Okada came into force. If you know the history of the FCT before 2007, it was a history of crime and criminality. Banks were attacked at reckless abandon. People withdraw money from the bank, they get away late, they get mugged, and the money taken sometimes stolen. A lady is walking to cross the road, somebody ride Okada, the passenger will just carry the bag, snatch the bag, and they speed off. Yes, I can agree that Okada will provide some employment, but that employment is generates or provides comes at a huge cost. Even along the highway, some of these heavy guns they carry, somebody is riding, the other person carry RPGs, GPMG, heavy bars. These things are dismantled because if they are carrying them the way they are, somebody will see them. So, all this, and anybody I have interviewed who has been a victim of kidnapping, they say they rode motorcycle and drop the person. When they are releasing their captives, it is Okada they use. And I believe that even if the government bans them, and I think it may be to give them a breathing space to see how they can streamline the operations of Okada. In Rwanda, there is an agency for rural something, and I think they use an app from Airtel and MTN. So every Okada rider, you don't even pay cash, it's cashless. You pay, that means all the riders are not these marauders who are causing mayhem and hysteria in our communities.
And some of those at that National Security Council meeting also spoke about putting personal interest, because you mentioned maybe it provides some form of some jobs for those that ride it. They spoke about putting personal interest, putting public interest above personal interest.
Exactly.
And it would really appear that this Okada is a big thing for them, because most times when they're even asking you to bring ransom, if they pick up any of your loved ones and they're asking for ransom, they've been known to ask for Okadas as part of the ransom.
And then they ask you to buy 10 Okada and put it in the vehicle and send it. So the idea is this: Okada has become a tool, a weapon of crime as far as this banditry, kidnapping is concerned. And government was there Okada in the 70s or even in the early 80s. People didn't die. I think government should have the capacity to generate jobs. But I know after a while, they must come to a round table and see how do we get Okada back, but not in the way it is. Government has no revenue.
I think that we have to raise some very important questions. Why do criminals find Okada very efficient and effective accessory for crime? Let's begin from there. Why do they find it? Yes. So, now, is it because Okada, the motorcycle, is more maneuverable than the bicycle or a car or a truck? That may be part of the reason, but I don't think it is all. There are other reasons. Yes. And here is my perspective. I think more than the maneuverability of Okada for criminals, other reasons why they prefer to use it would include that in most states, Okada people don't have their vehicles registered, which means whatever you use it for, it's difficult to trace who you are and follow up. You know, if you use a car and they get the number plate or the number plate, they can get the number, go to VIO, go to road safety, trace and know who, and then begin to investigate. But when you don't register Okada, it is difficult to investigate if you don't hold the person. I think that is what makes it more attractive to use Okada than its maneuverability. Now, if that's the case, is it something you can solve? Yes. You can solve even to the benefit of government and the public. What if you say nobody should use any Okada if it is not registered? And every Okada must have a number plate. You register, you receive it, we know who owns it. So that once there is any crime, we can investigate and trace it. I think that these criminals are catching in on this failure. I think that by the moment you register all Okadas, then it will become less attractive.
No, thank you. I think, Father, I love your approach, but I have a different perspective to it.
Yeah.
Me, I have a different perspective to it. What is the AIG said the other time? I'm a living witness.
Yeah.
In 2007, when strict compliance with the banning of Okada in the FCT, when it started, that time,
not in the FCT.
In the FCT. In the
not
FCT.
In some parts of the FCT.
No, in the whole FCT. I remember that time. I have been living in local government at that time, and I remember you could not see Okada on the road. Reasons being that they advanced then. Apart from criminality, they also talk about the accidents that Okada caused for people. A lot of people were maimed, and that is the problem you have in Kano. When you go to Dala Orthopedic Hospital in Kano, you see that a lot of people's legs have been amputated, and so on and so forth. So that thing really worked that time, and we have some peace, level of peace. We don't know how and what led to the relaxation of that compliance. That one has become history. I have a different perspective to yours. Let me now go to that.
Okay.
You know, registration, even vehicles.
Yes.
People, you can see the developmental stages that it has taken us, even to register our phone numbers, to link everybody to its number. And up to today, we have not gotten it well. We started with, okay, you have to do the, what do you call it, biometrics. After that, they say, okay, let us create name. So that they create your account and they align it with yourself, your address, and everything. We didn't get it right.
It's a process anyway.
The data bank that we have in VIO may not translate to identification proper. To get you to your house in this country is difficult. In England, say for instance, I just came and I saw my friend who came to pick me in the airport. About 3 days later, they sent him a mail. A mail. And when we opened it, we saw the picture of the vehicle. And they fined him £70. They said if he can pay it within 24 hours, he will get a respite of 50%. If he doesn't do that, then he will have to pay £70. Why? Because they say that he wanted to maneuver at a place, and that place is wrong. He should not have not even parking to even take that route, and they fine him, and this money must be paid. He came to his house, they dropped the default in his dormouse. That tells you that that type of country is not what we have here. Registration of vehicle, I'm talking of vehicle, now talk of Okada that people can just buy anyhow. In fact, there is a place where they will do this plate number for you.
You see,
The criminals, they will do it, they will manufacture it for you.
Father, your analysis, your analysis is very apt, but not practical.
Yes.
As a practitioner, go to FCT streets. How many vehicles are properly registered? Are you going to Zamfara Forest to tell the bandits to register their Okada? Is that what you are saying?
no,
Just a moment, Father. You see, the perspective that I come from is practical. Is what I have seen. I am an advocate. When I came into the FCT, and motorbikes were being impounded, and they never get back to their owners, I had pity. But when I started seeing the record of crime associated with Okada, I had no choice but to. In those days in Nigeria, you can force people. You can tell people, go and register. Nobody's going to register Okada. If you are waiting for that, even if, how many cases are you going to see? Even if you link them with these people, are you going to see them? When you have a total ban, especially in the areas of focus,
good.
in the areas of focus, when you totally ban, but you've got to take a blanket decision, then you begin to sift.
It is.
You begin to sieve.
It is actually
You need to see.
that blanket decision that is the first area of concern. You mentioned areas of focus. Now that is making the decision become more strategic. But blanket, listen, see, when you ask federal government why everybody says they know the hideouts of these kidnappers. So the question usually is, why don't you take the Tucano gems, bomb them, right? And Garba Shehu, in reacting to the threat video, also highlighted this, that there is collateral damage, that those who are victims, who are under captivity, did not commit any crime. So you are not going to kill them. Now, at the level of strategic analysis, he's talking about damage. The damage that is acceptable, and the damage that is not acceptable. So you're going to eliminate the terrorists, yes, but there is collateral damage. Is it acceptable?
No.
The policy is no. So let us bring home this idea about acceptable damage and unacceptable damage. How many people operate Okada for livelihoods in Nigeria? Unfortunately, we don't have the statistics, but we can work with common sense. I stay in Kabusa. That's the most affordable means of transportation. I have members of my church who are Okada riders. And the truth is, I don't know any one of them that is a criminal. I wouldn't know, I'm not omniscient. But we can assume that the majority of them are people hustling, looking for something. Their children's school fees depend on it. And you see, some of these Okada riders are actually master's degree holders and all of them. In Benue, Okada happens to be one of the highest employers of labor. Makudi, Boko, other places. It's something that people do for a living. Now the thing is, you say you're running a blanket Okada ban. You're going to be solving a problem, but creating another one at the same time. Now, is the new one you're creating acceptable? My position is that damage is not acceptable. That's my position, really.
Okay, Father, I know where you're coming from. Number one, Nigeria is not at war with another country. This is an internal security challenge that we have. And so we aren't going to bomb any place because this is an asymmetrical warfare.
Rightly so.
And
Yes.
so the criminals, among us 6 here, Shakespeare says there is no mind to find a mind's construction on the face.
Mhm.
And that is how it is with criminals. So you aren't going to just bomb because you want to avoid collateral damage. You are not going to do that. Now, the government has proposed a plan, and government, I believe in their wisdom, I'm not their spokesperson, but in their wisdom, decided to fly a kite. In flying this kite, I am sure somebody somewhere will be taking note of the concerns expressed by the public.
And that is why we have here.
So, by the concerns. You see, the policy, we are going to have a nationwide ban. What is the nature of the ban? We don't know yet. It could be blanket. It could be
Focused.
it could be
Tailored,
arranged
you know.
in such a way that it addresses the specific issues government want to address. But you and I will agree that it's very difficult to have Okada registered. Even if you have registered, are you not alarmed that kidnappers will say, look, part of the ransom, bring 10 bikes? That's not acceptable. Government, because we are not privy to some of the intelligence that has gone into the decision that government is making. I was AIG Zone 9 here, and I used to go to Imo. I used to see these Suzuki buses, Bus Imo, Tax Imo.
Mhm.
It is possible to have those taxis. Our people will not be exposed to rain. Our people will not be exposed to amputation. The accident rate will be less, more comfortable.
I think
Wherever the bus.
tricycles are doing that.
Yeah,
To an
I don't.
extent.
I'm not an advocate of tricycle. That's why I
That-
went to.
that's another discussion, oh.
If you notice, I talk about tiny.
That's
go to
another
Imo,
discussion
Imo, let's go to
altogether.
Imo and see the buses.
So when you go to Imo, you have bus Imo, tax Imo.
That's
These
about
are-
6.
Yeah, these are small buses that will take you from one location to the other.
And there's a reincarnation.
Yes.
Mhm.
And if it does not take you to your door mouth, you can walk. Walk is healthy. If you live on number 1 Ojoko Street and it takes you to number 5, please walk.
To
So
number
number
one.
one.
Walk 4 blocks or 5 blocks to your place. So all this discussion of saying, Okada will take you to Doma. Should Okada take you to Doma? You will not walk and you want to die early? You've got to walk.
Gauging the advantage of Okada against the disadvantage, especially within the security crisis that we are having in the country. I should also be an advocate of. I stand by his banning. If they say
The blanket ban.
yes,
Okay, now hang on a minute. I mean, I'm coming to you, Imam,
Yes,
Imam
yes.
Mustapha.
yes,
Yes, as a clergyman, you're unquestionably you're a grassroots man.
yes,
For many members of the congregation,
Exactly.
some see it as a blessing. Also, in looking at how far the activities outweigh either the good or the bad side. Now, we'll be talking of banning motorcycles. Is it ban on use of motorcycles for commercial transport or for personal use? Of course, we need to also make that distinction. Are you banning the use of motorbikes for commercial purposes or for personal use? But the question is, whatever the bad side is, the negative side is, this decision, how does it play in how people perceive decisions of government?
of course, it will be painful. It will be painful. That one is automatic. Everyone that enjoys the privilege of movement will always react to it negatively. In fact, people will begin to file cases in the court of law. Section 46 of the Constitution, Section 40, that is something, freedom of movement. People will talk about that. that you want to restrict and inhibit my movement from a place to a place. That thing, is it good for the citizens of the country? Is it not going to be an infringement? You are going to see that. But Section 41 of the Constitution also provides for a situation where all your rights, as fundamental as they are, may be curtailed if it is for the public good, if it is for public health.
What if the public says
If
it's
it
not
is for
their
public
good?
security,
That's
no.
that's why.
Yes.
Look at my question. I said
Yes.
perception. You know, look at it. Let me bring you back to the response of the senior special assistant to the president,
Yes.
talking about responding.
Yes,
But if the public perception is everything,
yes,
perception is everything.
yes.
Yes. How do people think that their situation
Yes.
is being factored in, and when there is doubt as to the capacity of government in taking decision, that has always been in the people's favor?
No, that is the essence of governance. The government is to provide security for you. If the government feels that to get you security, this Okada must be out of place. To ensure that you are secure, we have to take Okada. You know, government is not just President Buhari alone. Government takes into consideration everybody. You too, you are a government. That is why chapter 2 of the Constitution is saying governance and the people. It talks about the people and the government. That is the reason why our Constitution also says we, the people of Nigeria, we wish that this Constitution should govern us. So what I'm saying is this: perspective of people will always be there. But if the government feels that this is for the common good, for the security of the populace, I think it is high time we try it.
Okay.
Because no, you talk about vulnerability, I mean adaptability, or the maneuverability of the Okada. Yes, that is the problem we are having. You cannot carry your tricycle into the bush. You cannot carry your small buses of Bosimo.
You like this version?
These people
let me
can access you, they can collect from you with Okada.
Inalegwu. I know a couple of years back, it was a combination of Federal Road Safety Commission and the VIO. They came up with this number plate that was encoded plate numbers. It was actually meant for intelligence and also for management of vehicles, both for personal use and commercial. And then it's going to be useful in this instance. Now, we are talking about
the National Assembly actually put a stop to that.
this thing.
Yes.
But now, okay, fine. That's another knee-jerk approach to dealing. It's a knee-jerk. What you talked about, if you go to other countries where it is easy to identify
and trace.
Now, what informed stopping such an initiative? Now we talk of Okada becoming a weapon of crime. Instead of this knee-jerk approach, ban Okada, there are ways in which you can actually regulate the use, ownership, and identification of those. It is not impossible.
Yeah.
So the thing is that
You are following father's position.
no,
Anyway,
it's not.
It's actually not a personal position.
But
Sorry.
I'm coming.
Yes.
I'm coming.
Let me just add to this. I guess the question we should deal with, the arrowhead of this strategic consent should be: can you effectively, efficiently enforce a nationwide ban on Okada? Is it enforceable?
That is the question they asked me the other time. He was talking about
No.
the polarization between commercial and personal.
No,
When
that's just a
yes.
dimension.
Yeah.
Let me premise it if you want to. We have a police station in Kabusa. They don't have more than 40 policemen there. The next police station you're going to see is actually not
It's a post.
It's just a post
yes.
in Dako. Dako is a wide area. The next one you will see will be Waru. It's just a post. But the division is Kabusa, and they handle those areas. So if the divisional center itself has not up to 50 policemen. How do you enforce this?
Father,
I think
Father,
enforcement.
first of all, there is a point I want to make, and I don't want to lose sight of that point. I think we should also be discussing what are government plans in banning the operation of Okada. Is government going to provide alternative?
You want me? I can answer that one.
Yes. So we are talking of Bosimo and all this stuff. That is one. About enforcement, it's not going to be one policeman to one Okada. That's not. If the government bans the operation of Okada, I always try to distinguish between Okada and the ordinary motorcycle that is used for.
That is actually why we used Okada
Yes,
instead
because
of motorcycle.
Okada is commercial.
Yes.
Okada is commercial. So the number of police or road safety of here doesn't matter. When we get to the bridge, we know how to cross it. But I believe if the ban is in place, it will be enforced. Because
Effectively,
let me tell you, you are enjoying the sweet ambience of the FCT, especially in the city center. If they had not banned the operation of Okada, Abuja would have become like one of these slums. You can't drive because they just go from nowhere, bust in front, and God save you if they jam your car. Not you slamming into them. All of them gather and beat the hell out of you. If you are not careful, they kill you. But I have always said, when people say, "Oh, why buy Okada?" I say, no, I don't think government is criminalizing poverty. But they are doing what they need to do. And when government talks about, I don't know, I cannot say talk for government. I don't know, but Okada is a pain in the arms. And my position is government must provide palliatives. Government should provide alternative means of transportation that is decent for the citizens, so that even if it is raining, you will not climb Okada and catch pneumonia, but they will have a means of transportation. And our people should learn to walk, even 100 meters, if it is not in your house. So don't say, because Okada will take you to your door, almost take you to your bed. That is not all. But Okada has been used for crime. Government ideally should register them as done in Rwanda. Even extract from MTN and Airtel. You couldn't go anywhere. Everywhere you go, they have the record of it. But I doubt if you can go to Zamfara or Katsina Forest to
enforce this.
To register Okada.
So you
in the forest.
you ban it where you can't enforce.
the
Then you leave
But
it where you
that is-
can register.
But that's a city. I mean, I'll keep.
Even in the FCT, if you ask them, some people have said that, look, somebody carry me on the back, the person doesn't even speak English.
Mm-hmm.
They can't speak English. Where is the person from? Look, let me tell you, there is a lot of work to do. So, certain things, when students do demonstration, the school authority don't come and say, these are the ones who cause the riot. They close down the school and they begin to bring them back.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, but I still see a gap.
That is philosophical. He is philosophical.
Chief, Kene is looking to bring in callers on this matter, right?
Exactly. Okay, so if you've been listening to us, it's now time for you to call in. If you want to call in and share your views with us. The number to call is 081 084 475 18. I take the number again, 081 084 475 Okay, it appears we have a call. Hello? Hello? Please, what is your name and where are you? Good morning. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, you can hear me?
I can hear you. Please, what is your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Samuel Abu from Obiezu in Kogi State.
We thank you for always calling in into the program. Please quickly share your
Yes,
view
the
with us.
topic this morning, the whole nation as a Nigeria, that is the crime in Okada and the burden of Okada in our country. You see, it's too heavy to mention because kudos to our speakers in the house, but I have some nationwide. I see it is another disaster adding to what we are having now. We know that there are crimes or criminals within Okada group. The danger of stopping Okada is more than the way we are seeing it now or we are thinking about it now. You see, from independence up to now, when you go to Lagos, when there was no Okada, you see all these Lagos boys or area boys snatching bags, pickpockets, whatsoever. That is where the whole thing started from. You see, and now, the sort of criminality all over to stop Okada. The danger about it is that drop of jobs to the riders themselves, crime will increase. The customers who take Okada, they will stop.
Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel, for your views. It appears we've lost you. All right. AIG Inalegwu, you heard from our last caller.
Yeah, first of all, I want to thank our caller for putting that call through. But I think in Lagos, there are still traffic arm robbers who take your phone from your car. The operation of Okada has not stopped Omonile or area boys from operating. No.
Neither will the ban stop them.
Yes, neither will the ban
In fact,
stop them. They are still doing the same thing.
in fact, Omonile doesn't even need.
So,
Okay, it appears we have I will come back to you. Hello? Good morning. Please tell us your name and your location.
Yeah, my name is Lukman. I'm calling from Lugbe.
All right. Kindly and quickly share your views with us.
Sorry?
Please go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. About the issue of Okada ban. I mean, the proposed Okada ban. I don't think it's going to work out because just as you have argued there, the enforcement will not even be effective. Rather, it will not become a means for the policemen to extort, to extort more. You understand? So, and I will not suggest the government should put a ban on it because government cannot be making effort to solve the issue of insecurity and at the same time creating insecurity. It will not make sense. That's why they also propose this in order to hear from the public, probably the way the public will react to it. And Okada is not totally banned on the highway because we go to all those lines and fight to the people who are tormenting or terrorizing the country. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We have another caller.
Hello?
Please, can you step away from your radio set?
Yeah, I'm far from it.
All right. Your name and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Hello? Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This issue,
Go ahead.
this issue of bundle of this Okada, I want the government to go and sleep very well and rethink about it very well. If they stop Okada, what will be the next thing to happen when the people does not have any facilities to live their life? I met with so many Okada men that they will tell you that they are PhD holders and they have no any job. It's only this Okada that they survive their life with their family. I want to advise, if they say they will stop Okada, they should know that they will add more problem into this country. If I advise government in the area of funding Okada, let them ban Okada, maybe they sit in the city center, but not everywhere in the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your views with us. We have another caller. Hello.
Hello.
Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Hello, tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Sir Chiedu Ude. I'm coming from Kubwa.
Go ahead, please.
Honestly, issue of Okada, especially in this Kubwa, is very risky. They have to stop Okada because they are not helping anything. Outside, they will not drive slowly, and any small thing they will gather people that they will beat this person, they will do this thing. They are not doing the right thing. So if they cannot do the right thing, there is no need of Okada. That is my decision now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Papa.
We have yet another caller. Hello.
Good evening.
Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm Gideon the Ladi from Nasarawa.
From
Go
Nasarawa.
ahead, please.
From.
I don't think the stopping of Okada.
Sorry, we didn't get your name.
To stop the rate of crime.
Hello, can you hear me? We
Your
didn't
name.
get your name.
I'm Gideon.
Gideon from Nasarawa.
Yeah. I don't think the stopping of Okada will stop the rate of crime in the country, rather to increase the rate of crime. Because most of them, this is where they get food and trust. You cannot live without this Okada job.
Thank you so much for your views. AIG Inalegwu retired. It appears that a lot of our callers are
Out of the 5, 4 are against ban, 1 is in support. When you are in government, you take certain decisions because what you see, others may not see. And the decision may be unpopular. Like I have maintained throughout this conversation, I don't know what the package will look like. Is government going to make alternative and take some of these guys, give them those new distance to drive, experiment on it? But if you see the damage Okada has caused, it has been an enabler of banditry. It should have been, like Father has maintained, should have been nice to have all of them registered. But I think at this stage, you ban, then you think of what to do. Like I said, when there is a riot in the university, you don't pick out those things. You close it down the university and find solution, then you begin to bring the students back. I think it has reached, because there are times the government wields the big stick, because that is the only way you can, the only thing you can do at that moment. Crime management and control has various perspectives. It's multi-dimensional. So this approach, you will take it and look at it. Is it creating more pain? Is the benefit of the ban, does the benefit of the ban outweigh the leaving them to operate? So all these things will make government. Like I say, I think what government has tried to do is to fly a kite and see how they can manage this crime. But it is important that the public take the issue of banditry, terrorism seriously and cooperate and collaborate with government.
We have now come to the end of today's edition of Side by Side. I must say a big thank you to our guests, Imam Mustapha Agbarere, who is a Muslim cleric and a lawyer, and AIG Wilson Inalegwu, retired, a security consultant and former commissioner of police for the FCT. And our listeners, thank you for joining us on the program. The next edition of Side by Side will come your way on Wednesday between 7th day of July at 10 a.m. Until then, keep listening to Radio Maria 91.3 FM. I am Kene, Obiezu.
I am Chiedu Ude.
I'm Father Robert Achiaga. And to our listeners who were calling in but we couldn't take your calls, we apologize for that. The time just ran out. God bless you.